What happens when you die? Are you trapped experiencing your entire life or just a specific memory?
And if you think about a nightmare, and then that nightmare becomes real, seeing things that are there but they aren't there, and like tapping into another reality.
Your brain stuck in this recurring nightmare.
A lot of ideas, strangely, come from nightmares. I used to have night terrors when I was a younger person, so I sort of have invested a lot in the dreams. I wake up, and if there's something weird, like lingering in the corners, I kind of try and write it down.
I've always loved horror movies. You know, I especially love movies like The Shining and Rosemary's Baby and kind of the classic horror films, and I just thought that this was a script that had the potential for great performances, a cool concept, and something a little different from what you see in your average horror movie.
Something about the movie has to feel different. I think the minute that you start to put a framework on the creative material in a movie or in a television show, they start to get boring and bland.
We just loved the concept. It was kind of this Flatliners meets Frankenstein idea.
I love the story of Frankenstein. I think it's such a great story of bringing somebody back to life, but creating this monster that is uncontrollable, and just the regret and the guilt and the suffering that this thing that you created, that you did, is something that always fascinated me.
I was skeptical when I got the script, but I really liked it. I thought it was smart, and I thought it was a reality-based version of how this could happen. There are scientific teams that are doing this very kind of research right now.
5 kilovolts, pulse in 3, 2, 1.
I have a very good friend who is a neuroscientist. He did grad student work at NYU, and he literally had monkeys and wires into their brains, and he helped me a lot. I mean, he read the script and went over it with me, and so much of what's going on the screen is technical talk back and forth. The tension is building, and they're using lingo that really a lay person doesn't really fully understand what that means, but to put something real in there, is important. That's the detail that brings this stuff to life.
Before you set the thing in?
Oh, yeah, sure. Just what do you want me to do?
It's always about building this kind of tension. And I think something we were always trying to do is kind of try to ground the film, but in reality, we had medical experts come on set and kind of work with the actors.
CPR and adrenaline shots and, using the defibrillation paddles and all these things. And we wanted it to look as real as possible.
We're shooting in Canoga Park. It's a very hot stage.
When you're watching this film, you'll see the closeness, the claustrophobia that can set in.
It's very intimate, and so it's a lot like the movie. I mean, we're all down in this basement lab that's very cramped and close quarters, and you get to really know each other and the way that the person works.
I want to know what happened in Nico now!
The actors are the vehicle through which the audience places themselves within the story. As a director, casting is one of the most important things.
Did I just die?
Something that was unique about the casting in this movie was that by starting with Mark Duplass, who has such a strong comedy background, it allowed there to be a certain ease on set.
Hi, how's it going?
Can I help you?
Good to see you. In order to work really well on screen, I think it's nice to have some off-screen chemistry. We're all in one room together, kind of talking about the scenes before we shoot them and afterwards.
Your motivation for that line is to be as quiet and casual as a human has ever been.
We all help each other out and send each other articles we read or music that would help us.
It's great because it really gives us a close insight into each other, becoming friends.
That would be a better ending. I play Zoe McConnell, who's a doctor who's one of the head researchers on the team. She developed the serum that they use to bring the dogs and people back to life.
Olivia Wilde is a truly unique talent. She is absolutely committed to her role, and she will go any place that she needs to tell the story.
I went somewhere.
That was a dream.
No, it was hell.
Olivia is really good at jumping right into a scene and really helping and how did you feel about that? Let's do this again.
She's a very good Zoe. I mean, she's meticulous and to the point in her character.
I was sort of born to play Zoe because I've already read so many nerdy neurology books that I just had a wealth of research to kind of hand over to anybody who wanted it.
You're like Kelly Ripa.
She's someone that I've wanted to work with for a long time, and she has such a great combination of sweetness and vulnerability.
I love you.
I love you too.
She's got these eyes. She can just stare you down, just do these crazy things.
Making a character who ultimately murders all her friends likable is pretty hard to pull off. She does.
Do you still love me?
Yes, of course I do.
One of the fun things about Olivia's performance is that even when she's not evil, there's something just a tiny bit off about her. And she really got the joy in being evil.
Daddy!
For me, it's really fun because I get to play Zoe in a few different mind states, and it feels like getting to play a couple different characters, which is great.
I mean, there's one moment in the movie that always gives me chills. Be watching Olivia Wilde as she's laying on the floor and she's just died and she was electrocuted.
3, 2, 1.
It was a brutal scene to film because she had to be there in a very exposed state and have people screaming in her face and people hammering on her chest.
Movie CPR is a very tricky thing because you want to bring the intensity of someone who is about to lose someone they love, and so naturally you would just be pounding the hell out of that person's chests in your compressions. But it's also a movie, and you don't want to break anybody's ribs. So you have to find that delicate balance. For us, a lot of that is doing reserved versions when I'm with Olivia, who's playing Zoe, and then at the right moments bringing in a dummy and just pounding the living shit out of it from there.
Mark's really funny and can really like loosen up the vibe even when like there are scenes that are pretty intense.
He's sort of like the smart big brother you want to kind of impress, and he's got a sort of an air of detached intelligence. I mean, I think that's what kind of makes him funny, is that when he breaks out of that, it's amusing.
The group of researchers in this film is almost kind of like the scientific version of the Avengers. They're each good at their own one area.
It's weird. His cataracts are gone.
What the hell is going on here?
I play Frank, who's a scientist, and he doesn't believe in God. He experiences something in this film which is beyond science, and he doesn't quite know how to handle it.
It was such a different type of film for him. He usually is always in really funny comedies, but to see him go to that place where he's, you know, laying over his loved one crying, he just gave a fantastic performance.
Turn this way and yell to her and be here, or do you want me to be up in front told?
He's a director himself and brings an incredible amount of experience and kind of acts as a leader amongst the group, not only in the film, but also amongst the actors themselves.
I don't want anybody talking about anything until we know exactly what we have here. Understood?
Nico, my character, is really good with computers. He can hack into things and stuff, but is helping them build the right computer to help with the serum.
Okay, so most of this stuff is basically run by me, and I do everything.
Clay, I thought he was really fun to play because he's kind of wacky and crazy, but is still a very smart guy. Nico's kind of like my best buddy. I don't have a lot of close friends who I can talk to about science.
Clay's sort of the misfit, pot-smoking, wise guy.
Awesome. Nico's more of the shy type, so I'm trying to kind of take him under my wing and get him laid, smoke pot and party and stuff like that. So there's kind of that dynamic as well.
Documentary girl, man, she's so hot.
Her name's Ava.
I don't care what her name is.
A lot of directors probably would get the script and like, yeah, horror film. Boom, boom. David's not approaching it that way.
I love the environment of being kind of trapped in this lab and kind of playing with the idea of what happens when you die, and what would happen if you came back to life, and what could you potentially bring back with you, or how would you be different?
Holy shit.
Zoe suffers from nightmares. She went through a traumatic experience when she was a child, and she's driven crazy by these visions from her dream. It involves people being trapped in a burning building and burned figures trying to get at her, and it's really terrifying, and she struggles with it.
When he brings his fiancée back from the dead, he's faced with the reality that there are things in her nightmares and in her past that are re-entering the real world from the spirit world.
She's developing telekinetic powers. I mean, essentially crazy psychic shit.
Is your big theory crazy psychic shit?
There's a reason why evolution happens really slowly.
Her brain is just completely out of control and very dangerous.
What is hell? You know, what is the version of hell? Is hell something that you make yourself? And that's something that you could be trapped in. What we're doing is we're taking one of our characters and we're placing her in her own personal hell, where it's the worst moment of her life just on repeat over and over and over again, and then they rip her out of that. I mean, I don't think that I would be in a very stable mental state.
Once the serum brings her back to life and she is tripping on the serum, she can't figure out what's real, what's not real, and she actually starts to manifest that physically. She is becoming this burned figure from her dreams.
And you can't tell the difference. I mean, you're bringing the nightmare into reality and reality into the nightmare, and it's a big old mess, and people get hurt. It's very dangerous.
I think scientists in general, it's like a lost art in movie making, a lost element. You know, we used to really honor scientists in science fiction movies and horror movies, and you know, I think that's something we've lost. And I liked the idea of working with a group of young people, grad students, and like they're trapped in the basement with this monster.
Zoe, what did you do? What are you talking about? I've been in here with you the entire time.
This movie probably is more terrifying because the possibility is slightly more probable than it ever was before. The idea that this happening and the realism of this woman changing.
I think the thing that is most terrifying about a movie like this is that these kinds of experiments are being conducted right now in the scientific community. People are trying to figure out ways to extend the life of brain functions so that we can take longer and longer and longer to resuscitate people and bring them back.
It's a real thing. I like that this film and its concept is based in reality.
The guy who they did CPR on for 2.5 hours pronounced dead, and then he came back, but his brain functions weren't right.
I thought you were my friend. I am your friend, but you're not being yourself right now. We still don't understand what's happening to you.
It's designed really well. It's really cool. It looks really dark and really scary. Like anything can happen.
You know, the goal is for the effects to be invisible. So I don't want the audience to be able to tell what's practical and what's CG. Usually it's just a little bit of both, because it's the practical effects that really feel tangible and real, and it's something that the actors on the stage can really react to viscerally.
3, 2, 1, go!
I have a stunt background here, so I know I'll be able to have a lot of fun sort of working it all out and making sure we don't kill each other.
Just one more time. All right, we'll go again.
We have some incredible sequences with fire that uses a lot of practical special effects, so we try to do that wherever possible.
I'm a Alfred Hitchcock fan all the way, and the idea of seeing less is more frightening than ever seeing everything planted on screen for you.
Some of our transitions between the real world and Zoe's nightmares are practical effects where we'll build one section of a set connected to another section. And so when you pan from one part of the set to the other, we completely change the space in a very seamless way that you couldn't really do with a computer.
It's not smoke and mirrors by any stretch of the imagination, but it's in your mind, it's scarier than what you're seeing in front of you. And I think that's what we're trying to play with a little bit.
The makeup effects were especially exciting. We had to design custom makeup appliances for her general kind of progression or descent into hell as the movie goes on. She would spend hours and hours having these things, you know, kind of artfully applied and painted on, and she was just incredibly patient because she knew that it would look beautiful in the film. And the whole feeling within the laboratory, everything is progressively getting darker and scarier and decaying. So it's always a progression and trying to make it scarier and scarier and darker and darker and darker. So that by the end of the film, you know, you're just like praying that something good is finally gonna happen.
To me, the horror and thriller genre are always going to be around. There's an adrenaline rush. There's a feeling of being on edge and gripping your seat that is just inherently exciting. Our job is to give the audience one that they haven't seen before and to try to deliver it in a new and interesting way.
Zoe, please!
It's phenomenal what we're figuring out about the brain and what we're capable of. I like that this film and its concept is based in reality. It's about, hubris and science and what we feel we're capable of as humans, and is that right or wrong?
I think we're fascinated with dying and what happens after you die because I think none of us, I should say almost none of us, 99.9% of us don't want to die. And all of us want to believe that something happens after you die, that it's not just like falling asleep. Whether or not you do believe it or don't believe it, it's certainly comforting to think that there may be somewhere else to go.
What was it like? I mean, did you see anything?
Ultimately, it's sort of this conflict between, what is right and wrong when it comes to this idea of bringing something back from the dead.
You are a doctor. You understand how science works. It's by adapting.
You're not adapting. You are playing God with a bunch of dead animals.
When we meet our characters, they're working in a lab at a university, working on animals. They're developing a serum that will hopefully eventually be able to bring people back to life, people who have flatlined during surgery, people in comas.
Let's make some history.
The primary currency of neurons, which are the brain cells, is electricity, but they need blood flow to be able to generate electricity. And that's what we study in my laboratory.
It's pulse.
Our focus is more on the electrical discharges that actually generates the function of the brain. And the function of the brain is anything that human beings can think about. So it's memory, it's actions, it's experiences.
These kinds of experiments are being conducted right now in the scientific community. People are trying to figure out ways to extend the life of brain functions so that we can take longer and longer and longer to resuscitate people and bring them back.
There's actually been a lot of advancements in post-mortem stuff, like they can bring people back after like 6 hours now.
I mean, that's amazing with the machine that does the CPR and all that stuff, it's kind of what our group is trying to do. We're trying to do it to a next level, but it's very fascinating to see that it's actually happening in the real world. We as human beings and animals and everything, we're meant to die. It is a part of life that it ends, and that's what makes life so amazing. But what happens when death becomes no more and you can live forever? I mean, everything changes, and obviously the people who can do the reawakenings become the most powerful people in the world. And that's a scary thought.
We don't know if he wanted to come back. We just took him.
What is it with you? I get 2 glasses of red wine and you and the Catholic girl comes out and...
I'm just saying, if we're going to be asking big questions, we have to be ready for the answers.
Science and faith are like 2 wings, and we need each other. Science needs faith, and faith needs science. And the big question here is, are we using science in order to defend and protect the dignity of the person, or are we using it for selfish pursuits?
I'm not gonna lose her. Not like this.
When they're talking about near-death states, most of them come from violence or trauma.
It's your dream.
And they come back with tales.
When I died, I went somewhere.
Zoe, that was a dream.
It was hell.
Hell is being very, very alone. It's a decision to be all alone in your own misery. Forever.
You may think that you can control the shift that has occurred, but you can't. And you begin to realize you're not the same as you were before. You find yourself suddenly more sensitive to sound.
What?
This idea of the electrical component, sometimes popping light bulbs.
You know how many emergency systems are in this place? The phones don't go dead.
You suddenly know things. You become aware of the future.
You've just been through a traumatic experience.
You need to let your body heal. Just try to take it easy, okay? I'll be right outside the door.
You see what we're forgetting here when we're playing with life and death? We're forgetting the soul.
From a Christian perspective, from an ethical perspective, we say death is when the soul leaves the body. So whether science defines death as a heart that has stopped beating or a brain that has ceased having activity, Well, in the end, from an ethical perspective, what matters is the soul still there? Now, of course, we can't find the soul, we can't touch the soul, but we can be sure that when that soul is gone, what we're seeing is something very, very different. It's a hollowed body. It's a body without a soul. It's not the person. It's not whom we loved.
The most important part of all of this is brain injury and brain function. When the brain is gone, even if the heart, lungs, and every organ is working, the person is dead. The person will never be the same. This is what we call brain death.
Clear!
Many of these other organs have the ability to recover or regenerate. The brain does not. When we do CPR, what we're really doing is we're trying to, as much as possible, minimize the brain injury and injury to the organs. That's why you're doing chest compression. You're delivering oxygen. And when you get the heart back, you're hoping that the injury is not so much that the person has adequate quality of life to sustain whatever he needs to do.
That's too much neural activity.
You can play all kinds of games with the body. With our new electronics, our new resuscitation medicine, we're bringing back people that maybe were dead for 30 minutes. And they still have full brain capacity. Where we run into problems with that is, what's the mind like when they come back? Even if they didn't have a near-death experience, there's still going to be a difference in that individual's awareness of self and in that individual's ability to handle and work with their own mind.
I think something's wrong.
A lot of people will come down on either side of this debate, where some people think science is a natural thing and that these are boundaries that, are going to be crossed inevitably, and let's do it. And for other people, life is a holy thing, and you're not supposed to be violating these rules between life and death. And when something's dead, it's meant to be dead, and that it's a defilement to try to bring them back to life.
When we wrestle with whether or not we should try to bring somebody back after they've already seemingly passed, we ask ourselves, well, why not? And we could say, well, just because we can do something doesn't mean we should.
Everything is firing at once. Frontal, temporal, occipital. It's like the amount of activity here is unprecedented.
I understand, Clay, I get it, but this is obviously some sort of machine error.
No, we ran it 5 times. It's not the machine, it's not the software.
And I am telling you, this is not physically possible.
Why not? We saw it with the dog.
Wait, what's not possible?
Her brain is forming new neural pathways. Look, this is a normal brain. This is Zoe's brain. She's evolving.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Do you hear yourself? Evolving?
You got another word for it?
Are you saying the serum did that?
You got me, man. It's not like we actually tested this crap.
Oh!
Where you at, old friend? Huh?
Doggy vision.
Find you, little shithead.
Dal. You're on your own, dog.
Zoe? It's Frank. I'm not gonna hurt you. I just want to talk. It's okay. I just want to talk to you, that's all.
Then why do you have that syringe?
Okay. All right. Look, I know you're probably really scared and confused. It's not your fault. Okay, I did this. This is my fault. I'm so sorry, sweetie. Okay. We're gonna fix this. We fix this together, okay? We can do anything. You hear me? It's you and me. I'm right here. I'm not gonna hurt you. Okay? Look at me. I'm with you.
Do you still love me?
Yes, of course I do.
Then show me.
This is not the sex. You gotta stop. You get that needle and you put her down. Sorry.